Hello everybody, Razorblade Mango here. Well, I hope you all had a really good Christmas, good Hanukkah, good whichever holiday you celebrate, good New Year, all that good stuff. I got Breath of the Wild finally, so that's not what this video is about, but I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. And I've been liking it so far. I have 8 to 9 hours sunk into it, and I've barely touched the main quests, so that's good. That's a good sign. I don't think it's quite Game of the Year, one of the greatest games of all time material, not yet anyway, but it's off to a good start for me, which is promising. But today I want to talk about something else. Today I want to talk about Anthem. And the big question that's going to pop up from this is, oh god, Razorblade Mango, why are you talking about Anthem? Why are you talking about another EA thing? We already know what you think about Anthem. You think it's going to be a big letdown and all that. Alright, fair enough. But the reason I want to talk about Anthem today is a couple days ago, there was a couple of quotes going around from, well-known industry analyst Michael Pachter. And yes, I know this is not a confirmation of anything going on at EA and all that, but it did bring up something interesting that I want to talk about today. And to kick things off, I'm going to start with the quote that he said, and I'm reading from Gaming Bolt, and I'll put a link to it in the description box, as I always do. So this is what he had to say regarding the possibility of monetization in Anthem. And Anthem is the latest new IP from EA developed by BioWare. This is the long in development game from BioWare that we heard about like 3-4 years ago. And it was revealed last E3 to be this Destiny style looter shooter grindy thing. It's basically Destiny. I'm in the camp that looks at it and I'm like, yeah, that's Destiny. It's a third-person Destiny. And Michael Pachter had this to say. So the question for Anthem is, will EA screw it up like Star Wars Battlefront? Or will they follow the Overwatch and Destiny roadmap, where the actual game is fun to play and the payments are ancillary? Well, truth be told, Destiny's not the best example of doing it right. I mean, look how Bungie's been fucking that up recently. But, I digress. He continues, because where they got into trouble with Star Wars was in making it pay to win. Had they limited themselves to purely cosmetic items, I don't think anyone would have said anything. That's not necessarily true, but okay. So Anthem has the potential to be Destiny, like in terms of game experience, and Overwatch, like in terms of microtransactions offered, where it's all cosmetic and no one bats an eye. So, this is why I wanted to talk about Anthem and the whole loot box thing today. Is that because of this whole thing with Star Wars Battlefront 2, my biggest concern now, going forward, and it's a fear that I'm most likely going to see realized throughout this year, is that companies are going to try to find more subtle, insidious ways to sneak predatory loot boxes back into AAA games. Like, EA reached for something far too big, far too quickly, and far too publicly, far too obviously, and they got burned. They got burned really bad, and they had to retreat. And I think, shockingly, to this day, they still haven't added the microtransactions back in Star Wars Battlefront 2, but I still think they will eventually. Now, the problem with, let's say this, it's great that they got burned. I'm happy they got burned. I made a whole fucking nearly hour-long video where I laughed at EA about them getting burned. However, this whole thing with EA getting burned, it's gonna send messages to other game companies, and it's gonna tell them, oh, this is what's okay, via what EA did. So as long as we don't do what EA did, I think we'll be okay with the gamers. And the big solution for a lot of these companies is going to be going, from now on, they want They want to do what Battlefront 2 did, but they want to slowly build it up to that rather than EA completely jumping the line and going like so far over the top with it. This concept of cosmetic-only loot boxes, where I've seen it so many times ever since I started this channel and ever since I started, really focusing on it for the channel. People going into a game and saying, oh, well, I don't mind if there are loot boxes as long as it's just cosmetic. Which has always bothered me, and it will continue to bother me now that companies will look better now that they have some bad standard to compare themselves to. Like, there was this ridiculous crap with Activision putting out things like, how Overwatch doesn't have gameplay changing loot box stuff in it, which Activision are trying to make themselves look like the good guy here, which, fuck you, you are not the good guy, Activision. Knock that off. So, I want to bring to the forefront how this cosmetic only stuff still is not good. Let's put it like this. Objectively speaking, yes, cosmetic only microtransactions are better than microtransactions that focus on giving gameplay advantages to players that are willing to pay more. That is 100% true. Anyone that tells you otherwise is an idiot. Don't believe them. Now, without anything worse to compare them to, are cosmetic only loot boxes good? No. Fuck no. Absolutely not. And I hate this whole idea that cosmetics are kind of just this, like this what's a good word? Meaningless thing. Like, it's just, oh, it's just cosmetic, it's just some skins you wear, oh, whatever. Well, the problem with that logic is that it's implying that cosmetics aren't important to a lot of people. And to me, cosmetics are kind of the whole point of some of these games that really have loot boxes. Like, what is your end goal in Overwatch? It's to get the coolest skins. What is your end goal in Destiny 2? It's to get the best looking loot with the best looking emotes, with the best looking sparrows and the best looking shaders. Your objective is to look cool. That's your objective in these looter shooters. To look fucking cool. To have the coolest stuff. And games specifically like Destiny 2 and Overwatch prey on that. And designing their whole progression system around these loot boxes where it's a chance that you'll get cosmetic stuff, that is still a part of the game because that will affect your enjoyment of the game or not. At least in my opinion it does. Having the skins that I want in Overwatch is a satisfying feeling. I will admit that. And having, losing out on stuff like that sucks. But there is never a guarantee that you're going to get the stuff that you want in Overwatch. So Overwatch decides to hobble this whole system around, grinding it out to like 20,000 XP in order to get loot boxes. And I've heard people say that, Overwatch is generous with their loot boxes. And I would actually disagree because occasionally you'll get like new modes are introduced and all you have to do is win a match in them and you'll get a loot box. But a lot of the time, if you've already like reached your weekly cap of loot boxes from the arcade, the only option is just like to grind if you don't want to spend money on the microtransactions. And that's how it's designed. People don't understand that. These games are designed to be frustrating even with cosmetic loot box stuff. Look at Destiny 2. Look how badly they screwed up with, things like lying about the XP bonuses, lying about how the 3 of coins work, lying about the dawning event, just this complete exploitation of customer goodwill and trying to suck as much money out as possible just for these Christmas themed skins. Look how much bad publicity came out of that. And I'm not saying everyone that does cosmetic microtransactions does it like Activision or EA. That's not what I'm saying at all. In a perfect world, I think there would be none of this crap. But I will admit there are studios out there that do cosmetic microtransaction stuff better than others. I can't name any off the top of my head, but I know they exist out there. I guess if I were to pick one, it would be Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare 2. A lot of cosmetic stuff with that, but it's like super generous. You get so much coin, so many fucking coins out of that. And that's ironically made by EA, and that's just super funny to me. But designing your game around the risk-reward system of these cosmetic-only loot boxes still negatively impacts the game design around it. Because with companies wanting to encourage you to buy these microtransactions, they will subtly sneak little restrictions into the game to where it will be just that much more frustrating, so it will tempt you to buy loot boxes. And sure, there are people out there that will go, oh, well, I'm immune to this. I don't need to do this. This doesn't affect me. Well, just because it doesn't affect you, that doesn't mean the problem still doesn't exist. Like, I live in California. We don't get tornadoes, and yet, at least in my area, we don't get tornadoes. And yet, I'm not going to say something stupid like, well, I don't get tornadoes, so I don't give a fuck about tornadoes in other parts of the world that destroy homes. Same logic, kind of, sort of, a little bit more extreme, but you get my point. It's this concept of waving away something that doesn't affect you, thinking that, oh, well, that's their problem. That's not my problem. Well, it could become your problem eventually. Like, I guess I'll throw this out there. I was saving this for another video, but I guess now's the time to do it. I'm very worried about Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, well, actually, let's go with two of them. Two of my most anticipated games of next year are Red Dead Redemption 2 and Kingdom Hearts 3. Two games made by big publishers that have been known to do stupid, horrible stuff in the past. Two franchises that I absolutely love, made by two development teams that I absolutely love. However, I am concerned that Take-Two is going to run amok with microtransactions in Red Dead Redemption 2, because they're led by a guy who said, hey, we want all our games from the future now to have like recurring revenue spending options. So you can bet your ass Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to have microtransactions in it, if not loot boxes as well. So there's that concept, a potential of it being absolutely fucked because of them. Also look at Kingdom Hearts 3. It's made by Square Enix, who shoved microtransactions into Tomb Raider and Deus Ex Mankind Divided, and butchered the release of Hitman, and fucked up Final Fantasy 15's story to sell more DLC, and it's just, I don't trust these studios to make the right decisions for games that I love. Very few, big publishers have my trust. Very few. And I'm really concerned that those games are just going to get fucked up by this whole system. Now, would I have been worried about that a couple years ago? Probably not. Like back in 2012, 2013? Probably not. But times change, and the more you put like a nice blinder over these problems that are infecting the industry, you're going to wake up one morning and see that they're in your shit. And you're going to go, what the hell is this? Where did this come from? And it's like, well, dude, it's been all around you this whole time. You just didn't want to look at it. So, potentially, Kingdom Hearts 3 could have microtransactions in it. There already is a Kingdom Hearts mobile game, and I hope Square Enix has enough common sense to leave that shit in there. Leave the diamonds in there, or jewels, or whatever the fuck they're called. The currency in that. Leave them in there, please. Leave them in key. I don't want them in Kingdom Hearts 3. I don't care if you shove some multiplayer mode in there. I don't want it. So, thankfully so far, Final Fantasy 15's multiplayer mode doesn't have microtransactions in it. At least I don't think it does. I could be wrong, but you know, you never know. Now, with that being said, regarding this whole concept of, well, loot box cosmetic stuff only versus in-game advantages, it goes back to this very simple, concept of a child running to their parent and asking them for $10,000. And the parent goes, what? And then the child goes, oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say $500. And the parent goes, all right, here you go, $500. It's better than $10,000. Yeah, compared to $10,000, asking for $500 is not that big of a deal. But when you take away the $10,000, you still have a child asking a parent for $500. And you want to go, what the fuck? Well, why do you need that $500? That's the same concept with this. It's, yeah, here's loot boxes with in-game advantages. What? What the fuck? Oh, I'm sorry, we're taking that back. Here's cosmetic-only microtransactions. Oh, okay, that's all right. It's the same thing. It's this concept of giving them something really bad, taking it away, and then giving something less bad. People will accept the less bad thing with open arms. And that's the case with what I believe is going to happen with Anthem. If they do decide to put in loot boxes, because, God forbid they just, release a game without them. But no, can't do that. We're EA. Can't do that with Anthem. So, that's how it's gonna be. And now that that's said, I guess I want to go into Anthem itself, because I kind of want to talk about that some more. Everyone should be extremely skeptical of anything EA touches. People should be skeptical of EA at the best of times. But particularly after this whole Star Wars Battlefront 2, Need for Speed Payback, Mass Effect Andromeda tainted 2017. Oh, hell no. I'm not going to say avoid everything that EA does, because I am looking forward to A Way Out and I'll most likely buy it. But this is a time where people should really be on edge with EA stuff. They really need to have their guard up. And let's not forget that even though this is BioWare doing this, this feels like the game that's gonna make or break BioWare. I feel like at this point, BioWare has their fucking neck on the line. Also, considering EA only wants to make big games that can be, super hardcore monetized for years upon years now, they don't want anything that will just be like, oh, here's one single player experience. Oh, you're done. Bye. Like, they don't want that anymore. They don't want a God of War or a Last of Us or a Hellblade, anything like that. They don't want that. They don't want a single player linear experience. They want big open world games that they can put in extra microtransactions, have people spending money in it for years and years and years. That's what one former BioWare developer said. They're not interested in single player games anymore. They're interested in these open world things because you can monetize them easier. And with that being said, looking that Anthem is going to be this big Destiny thing, that has a ton of red flag warnings around it. Not to mention the fact that there's recent news that EA has tried to patent some awful matchmaking system that fucks with the difficulty in order to encourage people to spend more money. Oh, you know about that? Well, here, I'm gonna link a really good video from Young Ye in the description box. Go listen to that. Prepare to have a fucking sick bucket with you for the shit that EA is gonna pull with this. So anyway, back to Anthem. I guess I have to go back to what I said in the Microsoft E3 video, where I just don't care about Anthem, just from a personal standpoint. And that E3 demo that they revealed, I'm gonna say it, I would honestly put money on this. That was fake. I'm gonna put money on that demo being a fake. and it being vaporware, and it just being this vertical slice like what the Watch Dogs trailer was like a long time ago when it first came out. This big, super fancy thing that just wasn't true. It was just a pantomime. And there's a lot of red flag warnings with Anthem, you know, like the E3 demo underwhelming, all the controversy surrounding EA, how a bunch of the staff keeps leaving, how I've heard whispers from former BioWare employees that the morale at BioWare is completely low right now because of this. And you know what? Going back to the Anthem demo, you know, people love to laugh when demos fuck up. Two big examples come from the same game, Uncharted 4. There were 2 times where Uncharted 4 was demoed live and it fucked up. Back at PlayStation Experience 2014, you had the guy playing it fall off a cliff and die in the middle of the press conference. And then E3 2015, you had the game not starting properly. You had Nathan just standing there in the market, and that's it. And, you know, people love to make fun of that. People love to, you know, talk about what a fail it was. But you know what? At least those fuck-ups, they are a sign of authenticity. They are a sign that what I was watching wasn't fake. It wasn't a pantomime. And when Uncharted 4 came out the following year, how it looked in the demos, that's exactly how it played. Like, those demos, when you watch them, they don't have this air of being really clean. They don't have this air of being, you know, well staged and everything. And that's exactly how that Anthem demo felt. I don't care how good, I'm not dissing the Xbox One X here. I'm pretty sure it can run extremely pretty graphics, but there is no fucking way that that game is going to come out looking like it did in the E3 demo. There's no way it will. Not with that, not with those graphics, not with that gameplay. It will not look and play like that. And I just got this feeling watching the whole demo that everything was just too staged. There's this thick layer of gloss over it that just made the whole thing look really clean, and it just was it came off as so fake. And oh my god, the fucking scripted mic banter that plagues all the Ubisoft stuff was in that fucking demo, and it was so embarrassing and so cringe-inducing. And there was no way a demo like that was, you know, comfortably played live, because you have to sync it up with all the scripted mic banter. That demo is fake. I'm telling you guys, that demo is fake. I would bet money on it. And to be perfectly honest as well regarding Anthem, I have such a weird outlook on it. I have such a weird opinion on it. I want it to succeed because I don't want BioWare to die. And this is coming from someone who is not a BioWare fan. Like, I don't like most of BioWare's games, aside from the original Mass Effect trilogy. But I don't want BioWare to die, because BioWare is one of the most beloved game developers out there. Like, they're legendary in the gaming culture. And to see them get killed by EA would be heartbreaking. That would be like EA killing history, killing legacy. That would suck. That'd be awful. But at the same time, and this is gonna make me sound really bad, I kinda want the game to fail miserably, because I don't want EA to get a commercial hit out of this game and its potential loot box system. I don't want it. I don't want Anthem to be a success. I want BioWare to break away from EA and just be free to do something independent and cool, like what Obsidian's been doing recently with their string of independently funded stuff. And that's never going to happen. So it's just a matter of, no matter what I want, I'm going to lose. Like, it's a lose-lose situation. If Anthem is a huge success and the loot box system in it is a huge success, it's going to encourage EA to keep going and do worse things. But if it fails, then BioWare dies. And I'm sad. So it's a shitty situation. Anthem to me is like a lose-lose situation, which sucks. And I never want a game to fail, and yet, oh, well, not never. I wanted Battlefront 2 to fail, but I don't want this game to succeed because I don't want EA to make a Destiny game. I don't want all their stuff to turn into Destiny, because that's what they're doing. They looked at Activision yet again and got super greedy and decided to just copy Activision, and I just don't get the appeal of Anthem. I really don't. To me, it just seems like such an oddball game for BioWare. It's just... It's a Destiny-style looter-shooter made by EA? That sounds awful. That sounds really bad. That's like practically begging the players to like input as much cash into the game as possible. And you know what? I think this game is the final stage of death for BioWare. After Visceral closed, I said BioWare was most likely going to be the next one on the chopping block, and I think that's true. It may not be right after Anthem comes out, and if Anthem does not do well, it will definitely be BioWare. BioWare will be the next ones to go. And I think at this stage we are watching the death march of BioWare. We're watching BioWare look up at the judge, and it's either going to live to see another day or it's going to be sentenced to walk the green mile to the electric chair. That's what's going to happen. And these things come in stages when it comes to the EA death march. They either build up a studio that's worthwhile, or they buy one. They let them do their thing for a while. Then after a couple of hits, or maybe one big hit, EA will start to slip in, little EA ideas. And in the case of BioWare, you've got things like the microtransactions in Mass Effect 3 and Dragon Age Inquisition. In the past, single-player-only games are now getting multiplayer modes that have microtransactions in them. You have the rushed launch of Dragon Age 2. You have the failure of Mass Effect Andromeda. Little things here and there that are just kind of fucking with the game. Then, the second to last step is EA will make you create a game that is completely outside the DNA of your company. And this is not the first time this has happened. I can name 3 specific examples. You've got Maxis, who were forced to do SimCity with the fucking online DRM connection. When that failed, Maxis was killed. You have Mythic with Dungeon Keeper Mobile, with that awful free-to-wait mobile game that just tarnished the legacy of Dungeon Keeper. Once that failed, Mythic was killed. You have, most recently, Visceral. Visceral known in the past for single-player linear experiences, story-driven experiences. Their last game that they completed was Battlefield Hardline, a first-person shooter that had somewhat open-world elements to it, with the multiplayer. And right after that, in a couple years of them slaving away on the doomed Star Wars game, done. They were killed. This is their Battlefield Hardline. Anthem is to BioWare what Battlefield Hardline is to Visceral. It's the game that's gonna put them in the fucking ground if it does not sell well. If it flops, if it doesn't live up to EA's standards, that's it. We're gonna be seeing BioWare on the chopping block next. And that sucks. Because even though I don't like BioWare, I don't want them to see them go away. And I certainly don't want to see EA have another head mounted on their wall from all their past victims. I don't want to see BioWare in the pile of corpses somewhere in EA's backyard of all the studios they've killed in the past. I don't want to see it. And that's what worries me the most about Anthem, is that this is the death knell for BioWare. But it doesn't come out for another fucking what? Like I said, fall. So let's say November. It's not gonna come out for another 10 months. So we've got 10 months to wait and see if EA's hype machine can do this series well. And you know what? For all I know, Anthem could turn out to be the next big thing. It could be potentially a Destiny killer. Could be the biggest fucking thing in the world. But I kind of don't want it to be, because I don't want EA to have a hit. But I also don't want BioWare to die. It's a lose-lose for me, guys. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, let me know what your thoughts are on the topics I've covered in the video. Go check out Young Gia's video on the shitty EA patent that was recently discovered. And yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna go back to Breath of the Wild now. It's pretty good, that game. I'll see you guys later. Bye.